This psalm saved me when I thought even God forgot me. If you've ever wondered, God, where are you? This is for you. You've been waiting, praying, trying to be strong while everything inside feels fragile. Maybe you've cried silently, smiled publicly, and thought to yourself, does anyone even see me? You feel invisible, forgotten, even by God. But I came to tell you today, you're not invisible to heaven. God sees you. He knows you. He hasn't left you, not for 1 second. And Psalm 139 proves it. Psalm 139 verse 1 says, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me." And maybe that's the hardest thing to believe when you feel unseen. When you've been walking through the shadows, silently hoping someone notices the weight you're carrying. When the smile you show the world is covering a scream only God can hear. This verse doesn't say God glanced at you. It says He searched you. That means He went deeper than anyone else would dare. He didn't just look at the outside. He stepped into the inner chambers of your soul, the places you try to hide even from yourself, the wounds you buried, the secrets you swore you'd never tell, the tears you wiped before anyone could see. He searched through it all, and He didn't walk away. He knows you, not just your name, not just your reputation. He knows the real you, the version that wakes up anxious, the version that doubts, the version that wonders if you're too much or not enough. He knows the parts of your heart that still bleed from past betrayal, the guilt you carry from things you wish you could undo. He knows your quiet prayers, your loud thoughts, your restless nights. And the most beautiful part? He still stays. This isn't surface level knowing. This is soul deep intimacy. God didn't just glance at your story, He's been there the whole time. He's seen every chapter unfold, every heartbreak, every breakthrough, every fall, every rise. And even when you thought you were alone, even when no one else noticed the pain behind your silence, He did. He's been searching you not to judge, but to understand, not to condemn, but to comfort. Maybe you've been walking around feeling unknown, misunderstood, misjudged, like no one truly sees the real you. But friend, God sees, God knows, God cares. And His knowing isn't cold or clinical, it's full of compassion, full of tenderness, full of grace. He knows your fears, but He also knows your faith. He knows your battles, but He also knows your bravery. He sees the mess, but He also sees the masterpiece He's shaping inside of you. So when this verse says, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me," it's not a threat, it's a comfort. It means you don't have to perform for Him. You don't have to hide from Him. You don't have to prove your worth. Because in a world that often demands perfection, your God offers presence. A presence that doesn't flinch at your brokenness. A presence that doesn't get tired of your tears. A presence that whispers, "I know you. I've always known you. And I still choose you." Let that be your anchor tonight. When your thoughts race, when the loneliness creeps in, when shame tries to tell you you're unworthy, remind your soul, I am fully known by God and still fully loved. That kind of love changes everything. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable with Him. Don't hold back your hurt. Don't filter your prayers. Let it out. He's already searched your soul. Nothing surprises Him. And still He stays. Still He listens. Still He calls you His. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are not too far gone. You are fully seen, fully known, and fully loved by the one who searched you long before you knew how to search for Him. Amen. Psalm 139 verse 2, "You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar." There's something sacred in that line, something intimate, something comforting, and terrifying at the same time. Because if you've ever felt invisible, this verse says you're not. If you've ever thought, nobody notices me, or does anyone even care what I'm going through? This verse interrupts that lie with a quiet truth. God sees you, not just when you succeed, not just when you pray, not just when you're strong, but even when you're sitting in silence, even when you haven't moved in hours, when you're too tired to rise, when you're laying in bed trying to keep yourself from breaking down again. He knows. Before a single tear rolls down your cheek, He felt it coming. Before your legs moved, He already saw what direction your heart was turning. before your anxious thoughts formed into words, before your panic made it to your lips. He heard it. He perceived it from afar. And that part, from afar, that's where it gets personal. Because maybe lately you've been feeling distant, like you drifted, like your prayers hit the ceiling and fell back down, like your faith used to burn bright but now it flickers. Maybe life's been loud and God feels quiet. Or maybe you walked away slowly, quietly, almost without noticing. But here's the beauty: even from afar, he still sees. Even from a distance, he still understands. You may have pushed him away. You may have stopped talking to him. But he never stopped noticing you. He never stopped knowing you. He watched every moment you couldn't get out of bed. Every silent scream in the shower. Every fake smile you forced just to make it through the day. And he didn't judge you for it. He didn't turn away. He leaned in. Because even your stillness speaks. Even your silence tells a story. And God knows how to read hearts that no one else understands. So when the world rushes past you, when no one texts back, when you're sitting alone, scrolling, hoping for some sign, some voice, some comfort, remember this: your God is not far. Your God is not unaware. He knows. He knows every rise, every fall, every hesitation, every hope you were too scared to pray out loud. This verse is proof you are not forgotten. You are fully seen, deeply understood, eternally known. So don't let the silence lie to you. Don't let the distance define your worth. Even now, he's perceiving you, watching you, loving you, from afar but not absent, from a distance but not detached. Let that comfort you tonight. You don't have to explain yourself to God. You don't have to pretend. Just be still and let his knowing bring you peace. Because he's not waiting for you to rise before he shows up. He's already here. Psalm 139 verse 3 says, "You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways." And sometimes that verse can either feel like a soft whisper of comfort or a mirror we don't want to look into. Because the truth is, when life gets messy, when our minds spiral, when our decisions don't reflect our faith, when our days are filled with hidden struggles and our nights overflow with anxious thoughts, it's hard to believe that someone would see it all and still stay. But God does. He doesn't just notice the highlights. He doesn't just show up on the mountaintop. No, he sees the routine, the mundane, the going out, the coming in, the habits we try to hide, the cycles we can't seem to break, the late night thoughts that no one hears. And yet he stays. There's something deeply healing about that, because we spend so much of our lives performing, proving, pretending. We show people our best angles, our cleanest moments, our filtered selves. But God, he sees the raw footage, the behind the scenes, the real, and he doesn't flinch. He doesn't pull away. He doesn't say, "Come back when you're more put together." Instead, he says, "I know you. I know your patterns. I see when you rise and when you fall. I recognize the rhythm of your restlessness, and I'm still here." That kind of love, it's not shallow. It's not based on performance or perfection. It's a steady, stubborn, soul-deep love that refuses to leave. A love that lingers when others walk away. A love that stays awake through the night when your thoughts are spinning and you can't sleep. A love that walks with you through your morning routine, even when you're too numb to pray. A love that waits beside your bed when your body lies down but your soul can't rest. He's familiar with all your ways, not disappointed, not surprised, familiar. And maybe today you just needed to hear that you don't have to clean up your pattern before he enters it. Maybe you needed the reminder that the God who sees the full rhythm of your life, every start, every stop, every relapse, every return, is not scared away by your cycles. He's not confused by your complexity. He doesn't grow tired of your repetition. He knows you, and still he chooses you. So breathe, my friend. Let your soul exhale. You are not a stranger to God. You are not just a face in the crowd or a forgotten name in the system. You are known, in motion and in stillness, in strength and in weakness, in discipline and in disorder. God discerns your path. He traces your steps. He watches over your bed. And he whispers, "I'm here. I know. I care. And I'm not leaving." That's the kind of knowing that heals the wounds no one sees. That's the kind of presence that anchors you when everything else feels unstable. That's the kind of love that doesn't just rescue you, it walks with you daily, faithfully, intimately. If this touched your heart, take a moment, pause, and say thank you to the one who knows you completely and loves you unconditionally. And if you're going through something personal, drop a comment. I'll do my best to help. You're not alone in this. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for knowing me, for seeing my patterns, my mistakes, my daily rhythms, and still choosing to stay. Teach me to rest in your presence. Let me find peace in the truth that I am fully known and fully loved. Amen. Before you even open your mouth, He already knows. Psalm 139 verse 4 says, "Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely." That means even the words that never made it out. The ones that stayed trapped in your chest, suffocated by fear, by shame, by heartbreak. The ones you rehearsed in your head 1,000 times but could never bring yourself to say. The words you wanted to scream when you were left alone. The ones you whispered into your pillow, praying someone, anyone, would hear. Even the words that cracked in the back of your throat but never crossed your lips. God heard them. He knew them. Every syllable, every thought behind them, every emotion tied to them. He knows the broken language of your soul, the sighs, the silence, the tremble in your voice when you're pretending to be strong. He knows the curse words you regret, the apologies you never got to give, the I love yous you were too scared to say, the prayers you only managed to mutter in the dark. He knows the pain behind the pauses, the faith behind the doubt, the hope behind the tears. And He's not offended by any of it. You don't have to explain yourself to a God who already understands. You don't have to craft the perfect prayer or filter your emotions. He's not intimidated by your anger. He's not surprised by your sorrow. He's not confused by your silence. Because before you formed the sentence, before the word was even a breath on your tongue, He already knew. And still He stayed. That's the beauty of our God. He doesn't just wait for you to speak. He leans in close to the storm inside of you and says, I hear you, not just your words, the whole you, the unspoken you, the struggling you, the version of you that doesn't know how to ask for help but needs it desperately, the you that feels like nobody could possibly understand, but He does. And in those moments, when you feel too weak to speak, too hurt to pray, too tired to form a sentence, just know this, He already knows. And He's not walking away. He's not waiting for you to get it together. He's holding the weight of what you couldn't say and turning it into mercy. So breathe. Cry if you need to. Sit in silence if that's all you can offer. Because even in that, He hears you and He answers with love. If this touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Let someone else know they're not alone in their silence. And if you're going through something personal, drop a comment. I'll do my best to pray with you. Because sometimes we don't need to say much. We just need someone to sit with us in the silence until the healing begins. Psalm 139 verse 5 says, You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. And if you've ever felt like your life was unraveling, like you're exposed, vulnerable, out in the open with no covering, then this verse is your anchor. Because sometimes it feels like the past is still chasing you, and the future, terrifying, unknown. And right now, in this moment, you don't even know how to breathe through the weight pressing down on your chest. But this truth, it holds you together when everything else falls apart. You hem me in behind and before. That means your past is covered. Your future is guarded. And right now, your present moment is surrounded by the presence of God. You're not open prey. You're not walking alone in a battlefield. You are hemmed in, enclosed, wrapped in divine hands that see what you can't. And His hand is upon you, not to punish, not to press you into the ground, but to steady you, to guide you, to say, I've got you. This is not the hand of a stranger. It's the hand of a father, a healer, a protector, a God who says, even if you don't know what's next, I'm already there. And He's also behind you, gently shutting the doors you keep trying to reopen. He's already dealt with things that you're still losing sleep over. He's already forgiven the things you still carry shame for. And in front of you, He's making a way you can't yet see, clearing a path through the confusion, through the fear, through the fog. And yes, right now, in this present moment, when your heart is fragile and your hope feels thin, He's near. He's so close you don't even have to call out loud. Just think it, whisper it. He hears. He's hemmed you in, not to trap you, but to protect you, to hold you long enough until you can stand again, until your strength returns, until your trust is rebuilt. So no, you're not lost in the middle of nowhere. You're not forgotten on the side of the road. You are seen, surrounded, and secure. Grace behind you, purpose before you, power beside you, and the hand of your Creator resting gently on your weary shoulder, reminding you that you're not just covered, you are kept, you are held, you are home. Let this truth settle deep in your soul tonight. God has you completely. Psalm 139 verse 6. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Sometimes, you just sit in silence because words aren't enough. That's what David felt. He wasn't trying to sound poetic, he was undone, crushed by the beauty of something so vast his soul couldn't hold it all. He was standing in the presence of a God who didn't just see him, didn't just tolerate him, but knew him fully, deeply, and still stayed, still loved, still called him worthy of divine attention. And that realization, it wasn't something he could climb to or logically wrap his mind around. It was something that fell on him, heavy, holy, like rain on dry ground. And all he could say was, "This is too wonderful, too high for me to reach." Because this isn't head knowledge. This is heart knowledge. This is the kind of love that doesn't fit into a formula or a sermon or a checklist. It's too big for that. Too intimate. Too sacred. You can't study your way into it. You can't work your way up to it. You can only receive it. Stand still in it. Let it break you open and rebuild you from the inside out. Because the truth is, you're not just seen by God. You're searched. You're not just noticed, you're known. Every layer of your pain, every secret scar, every question you've ever buried beneath your smile, He knows. And He's not intimidated by the mess. He's not confused by your confusion. He's not surprised by your darkness. He steps into it, speaks light into it, and wraps His love around you like a blanket in the cold. So when David says, "Such knowledge is too wonderful," he's saying, "I can't believe this is real. I can't believe this kind of love exists, and it's aimed at me." It's the kind of wonder that breaks your pride, that shatters the lie that you're alone. It's not about how strong your faith is, it's about how steady His gaze has always been. You don't have to reach Him. He's already here. So maybe today, instead of trying to figure it all out, you just fall into it. Fall into the arms of a God who knows more about you than you do and still chooses you. Maybe it's time to let the wonder win. Maybe it's time to stop trying to earn what was always meant to be a gift. Let grace do what it was always meant to do, undo you, heal you, hold you. Because the most powerful kind of worship doesn't always come with loud praise or perfect words. Sometimes it just sounds like a whisper, "I don't understand this, Lord, but thank you anyway." That's when heaven leans in. That's when peace floods in. That's when healing begins. And maybe that's what your soul needed all along. Not another answer, just the assurance that even when you don't know how to explain it, God still knows how to hold you in it. Psalm 139 verse 7 says, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence?" Have you ever felt like disappearing? Like the pain was too loud, the guilt too heavy, the silence too unbearable? Maybe you didn't say it out loud, but your heart whispered it. "I want to run. I want to vanish. I want to escape from this mess, from these thoughts, from myself." Maybe you've stood in a crowded room feeling completely alone, and deep inside you wondered if even God had turned His face away. But this verse, it interrupts that silence. It gently enters the room of your broken heart and reminds you, you can't outrun Him. David isn't writing this from a mountaintop of confidence. He's writing this from the valley of reality, a place where he's wrestled with shame, with doubt, with the feeling of failure. He's asking the question we've all asked, "God, are you still here, even after what I've done? Even when I try to shut you out?" And the answer echoes back, soft but unshakable, "Yes. Yes, I am. There's no hotel too far, no car ride long enough, no city big enough, no night dark enough, no sin deep enough to make him leave. You can try to flee. You can run to distractions, to addictions, to silence, to bitterness, but his spirit still follows. Not with wrath, not with rage, but with relentless love. A love that doesn't chase you to punish you, but to pull you close again. A love that whispers in the night when the tears won't stop, I still see you. I'm still here. Because God's presence isn't like ours. It doesn't need a church building or a Sunday service. It walks into hospital rooms. It sits beside you in traffic. It finds you when you're curled up on the floor holding your chest, wondering if your heart can break any more than it already has. And even when your own thoughts scream unworthy, his spirit says, mine. You see, this is the kind of God we serve. One who doesn't wait for you to fix yourself. One who doesn't demand perfection before presence. He enters your mess. He walks through your shadows. And when you try to run, he runs faster, not to hurt you, but to hold you. To remind you that even if you've given up on yourself, he hasn't. So maybe you've been trying to hide lately. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you've told yourself that God wouldn't want to be near someone like you. But here's the truth, he already is. You don't have to climb your way back. You don't have to earn your way into his love. You're already surrounded, already seen, already known. You can stop running now. You can rest, because his presence is not a place you reach. It's a place you realize you've never left. If this feels like your story, drop a comment. I'll do my best to pray for you. And if this touched your heart, don't scroll away. Share this with someone else who needs to know they're not running alone. Psalm 139 verse 8. If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. There are places we go in our spirit that we never intended to visit. Moments so high, it feels like our soul could burst in worship. And other moments so low, it feels like we've died inside. And yet, he is still there. That's what David is saying. Not just as a poetic verse, but as a soul confession. If I ascend to the heavens, you're there. And if I descend, if I collapse into despair, if I drown in shame, if I make my bed in the very depths, even there, even then, you are still with me. Because some of us don't fall into the pit by accident. Some of us chose it. We made that bed with our decisions. We pulled those covers over our pain, over our mistakes, over our broken pieces, hoping no one would see, hoping maybe even God would pass by. But he didn't. He came in. He walked into the wreckage, into the dark room of your depression, into the dirty corner of your regret, into the place where you gave up hope. He's not the God who waits for you at the mountaintop. He's the God who walks into your valley with no hesitation. He's not afraid of your rock bottom. He's not intimidated by your failures. And he's not disgusted by your shame. See, this is where religion gets it wrong sometimes. Religion says, clean yourself up, get out of the hole, climb back up, and maybe then God will see you. But relationship says, I'll come to where you are. I'll sit with you. I'll stay with you. I'll carry you back if I have to. That's the heart of God, the one who follows you into the fire, the one who finds you in your silence, the one who chooses you even when you're not choosing him. Maybe you've been running. Maybe you've made your bed in the depths. Maybe you've decided that's all you deserve now. But God hasn't left. He never left. And even when you tried to block him out, his love broke through the walls. So now, even if you're still in the dark, hear this. You are not too far gone. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. The same God who saw you at your best sees you at your worst, and he still stays. Let that sink in. He stays, not to condemn you, not to lecture you, but to remind you who you are, to whisper over your scars, you're still mine. So cry if you need to, scream if you have to, but don't run anymore, because the one you thought you lost was holding you the whole time. God doesn't wait on mountaintops. He walks through the valley. He meets you in the pit, and he'll never leave you there. He's not just the God of your victories. He's the God of your breakdowns too. And he's not leaving. Not now. Not ever. If this spoke to your heart, my friend, share this with someone who's in a valley right now. And if you're going through something personal, drop a comment below. I'll do my best to help. And above all, remember, even in your lowest place, He is still there. Psalm 139 verse 9 says, "If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea." And maybe that's exactly how some of us feel right now. Like we've been trying to outrun something. The pain, the memories, the pressure to be okay, the silence from God. There's this ache in your soul that whispers, "I need to get away." So you run. Maybe not with your feet, but in your spirit. You push your emotions down. You shut people out. You chase something new, something distant, because staying still hurts too much. And David gets that. He's been there. He writes this from the heart of someone who knows what it's like to be on the run, not just from people, but from himself. He says, "Even if I rise on the wings of the dawn, even if I shoot forward into a brand new day, faster than the speed of light, like someone trying to escape the darkness behind me. If I settle on the far side of the sea, if I pack up and leave everything behind, start over on the edge of the map, disappear into the unknown, into the place where nobody knows my name, even there, God is already waiting." And maybe that's the part we forget when we're hurting. That no matter how far we run, we're not actually alone. Because you can change your city, you can change your habits, you can change your job, your friends, your phone number, but you can't change the truth. God still sees you. He still knows where you are. And more than that, He's already there, already holding space for your return, already covering the places you're trying to hide in. See, we think escape will give us peace, but God says peace doesn't come from distance. It comes from presence, His presence. And even when you try to outrun Him, He doesn't leave. He doesn't get offended. He doesn't throw guilt at you for wandering. No, He follows. He stays. And He waits until you're ready to come back. So if you've been moving fast lately, if you've been drifting, disappearing, convincing yourself that maybe if you just keep going, you'll finally feel better, this verse is for you. It's a whisper from heaven saying, "You can run, but you'll never be out of reach. Not from my love, not from my eyes, not from my heart." And that's not meant to scare you, it's meant to comfort you. Because sometimes the most beautiful thing is not having the strength to return, but knowing someone has followed you the whole way just to bring you back home. So if that's you, if you're tired of running, if you're weary from hiding, if your soul is aching for something familiar and safe, don't be afraid to stop. Don't be afraid to rest, because you were never lost to begin with. He's known your coordinates the whole time. He sees your sunrise. He knows your sea, and He's never once lost track of where you are. Psalm 139 verse 10, "Even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast." Even there, even in that place where you feel like no one sees you, even in the quiet corners of your pain, even in the shadowed rooms of your regret, even in the foreign land of anxiety or shame or spiritual exhaustion, God says, "I'm still with you." You might have drifted so far that you don't even recognize yourself anymore. Maybe you left the familiar behind. Maybe you ran. Maybe life forced you to a place you never wanted to go. But the miracle of this verse is in those two little words, even there. Not just the holy places, not just in worship or peace or clarity, even in chaos, even in crisis, even in the far country of your confusion, His hand finds you. His presence follows. His love doesn't wait for you to come home. It meets you in the middle of your wilderness. And His hand, it doesn't just wave from a distance. It guides. It reaches into your storm. It steadies your trembling soul. It doesn't just point you toward hope. It holds you inside it. That's what grace does. That's what mercy feels like when everything else is crumbling. You are not being punished by distance, you're being pursued by love. Because His right hand, His hand of authority and victory and strength, is not letting go. It won't lose you to the waves. It won't drop you in your weakness. It doesn't get tired of holding broken people. It's the hand that writes your story, the hand that fought your battle, the hand that bore the nails so it could hold your future. Even there, you are not alone. Even there, you are not forgotten. Even there, you are not too lost, too distant, or too far gone. That's the kind of God we serve. The kind who goes where you go, who stays when others leave, who guides when you've lost your way, who holds you not loosely but tightly, not temporarily but eternally. So if you're reading this in a season where your soul feels scattered, if you're in a place you didn't choose, or you feel emotionally distant from the people around you, remember this: even there, He's already with you. His hand is already stretched out, and He's not letting go. Let that settle deep into your spirit tonight. You are being held right now, even here, even there. There comes a moment, quiet, lonely, and terrifying, when your heart starts whispering things your faith used to silence. A moment when you're not even sure if you're praying anymore or just breathing through the ache. That's what this verse touches. Psalm 139 verse 11 says, "If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light become night around me," and that if is a raw confession. It's not theology, it's vulnerability. It's David giving voice to what many of us are too afraid to admit, that maybe, just maybe, this time the darkness will win. You felt that, haven't you? When your room is silent but your thoughts are screaming. When your tears fall quietly into the pillow and nobody sees. When it feels like depression isn't just a shadow, it's a weight pressing your chest down every morning. When anxiety wraps around your throat and won't let go. When your guilt tells you you're unworthy and your shame says, stay hidden. That's what David was speaking from. Not strength, not victory, but brokenness. The lie creeps in, surely the darkness will hide me. It's more than nighttime. It's more than cloudy skies. It's the kind of darkness that settles deep inside your chest. The kind that tells you no one will find you here. Not friends, not family, not even God. It's the lie that says you're lost now. You've gone too far. You've cried too long. You've made too many mistakes. You've doubted too deeply. And you start to wonder, is this it? Is this where I stay now? In this night? In this ache? In this pit? But that, right there, is only half the truth. The darkness feels like it wins, but it doesn't. And what's so sacred about this psalm is that David doesn't end here. He lets you hear the voice of despair, but he doesn't let that be the final voice, because what comes next changes everything. Even when you say the darkness will hide you, it won't. Even when the night feels like it's swallowing your light, it isn't, because God is not like us. His eyes don't adjust to light like ours do. He is the light. And there's no night so dark that He can't see you clearly. No pit so deep He can't reach you. No pain so buried He can't feel it. You may think no one understands, but God sees it all. The silent suffering, the shame you wear like a second skin, the thoughts you're scared to speak, and still He does not look away. He draws near. Oh my dear, if you're in that dark place right now, I need you to hear this. God is not confused by your darkness. He's not repelled by your brokenness. He's not waiting for you to get it together so He can love you better. He's already in the darkness with you, already whispering over your heart. You are not hidden. You are not hopeless. You are not too far gone. The light might feel like it left, but it didn't. It just got buried underneath your grief. And God, He's not afraid to dig. He reaches into the night, into the ache, into the parts of you you've tried to hide. And He says, I'm here. So if today you feel swallowed by sadness, if your mind is screaming lies and your spirit is tired of the fight, you're not alone. Even there, even in this dark, confusing, aching moment, He is near. And even if all you can say is, surely the darkness will hide me, He will answer, no, child. I see you. I love you. And I will not let you go. You don't have to fight your way back to the light. Just fall into His arms where you are. He doesn't need you to climb out of the pit before He reaches you. He steps into it, stands inside your sorrow, holds you through the night until the light returns. So don't rush your healing. Don't deny your pain. But don't believe the lie that God can't find you here. Because the truth is, He already has. And He's holding you now, right in the middle of what you thought would break you. You're not lost. You're being found. You're not forgotten. You're being pursued. You're not buried. You're being planted. Even here, even now, even in this darkness, there is light. And His name is Jesus. Psalm 139 verse 12 Even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. This is where grace begins to speak louder than fear. You've been there, haven't you? In that place where everything feels dark. Not just around you, but inside you. A darkness of the soul. A fog that clouds your thoughts. That silent kind of pain that creeps in when no one's looking. When the room is quiet. When your strength has run dry. When you lie awake at night wondering if you'll ever feel okay again. And in that moment, the enemy whispers, "You're too far gone. You're too messed up. You're too broken for the light to find you." But then this verse comes in like a whisper from heaven. Even the darkness will not be dark to you. And suddenly, the voice of truth rises above the lies. Suddenly, you realize this darkness that has swallowed you whole, it doesn't scare God. Not even a little. You see, God doesn't flinch when things get messy. He doesn't turn his face when your soul starts screaming. He doesn't look away when the depression hits so hard you can't get out of bed. He doesn't retreat when anxiety paralyzes your chest. No, he comes closer. He leans in. He steps into the shadows you thought would hide you forever. And when he steps in, something shifts. What was hidden becomes seen. What was hopeless becomes held. What was dark begins to glow. Because to God, darkness is not a barrier. It's not a threat. It's not even darkness to him. It's just a blank canvas for redemption, for restoration, for light to break through and dance where sorrow used to live. The night will shine like the day. Let those words soak into your weary heart. That thing that almost took you out, that season that felt like death, that night that stretched on too long. He says, watch what I'll do with it. Watch me take the very thing that tried to destroy you and make it shine, make it sing, make it holy. That's what he does. He doesn't just rescue, he rebuilds. He doesn't just pull you out, he pulls beauty out of the ashes. And suddenly you're not just surviving, you're standing, you're breathing, you're glowing in the very place where you once thought it was over. So maybe right now it still feels dark. Maybe your hands are trembling. Maybe you're not sure if the morning will ever come. But hear me, God sees clearly. Even when you can't, you are not hidden. You are not forgotten. You are not buried under the weight of this season. Because to him, night and day are the same. He's just as powerful in your midnight valley as he is on your mountaintop. He's not waiting for the storm to pass. He walks right into it with you. And where his presence is, darkness cannot win. So breathe. Cry if you have to. Break if you must. But know this. The light has not left you, and the darkness that tried to consume you, it's now the very place his glory will shine the brightest. You're not alone in this night. God is here, and he's already turning it into morning. Psalm 139 verse 13, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb." There comes a moment, maybe in silence, maybe in shame, maybe in a hospital bed or a bedroom floor, where you whisper the question, was I ever wanted? Was I ever meant to be here? And this verse, this holy whisper from the mouth of God, answers that ache. You were never a mistake. Not your birth, not your body, not your battles, not the family you were born into, not the trauma you're trying to survive. God didn't toss you together like scraps. He created you. That word, created, means to form with purpose, with intention, and not just your outside. Not just the part that smiles for pictures or shows up on time. No, he made your inmost being, your depth, your wiring, your hidden pieces, that fragile place inside you that no one sees. God saw it first. He knit you, not carved, not manufactured. Knit. That means slow. That means delicate. That means he was there, present, in your beginning, threading together your heartbeat, coloring the tone of your voice, setting the rhythm of your laugh, deciding the curl in your hair. And yes, even the tears in your story, every stitch chosen. You weren't thrown into this world. You were woven into it. And what God weaves, he watches over. And here's the truth that breathes life back into your bones. You are not random. You are not unwanted. You are not invisible. The same God who spoke galaxies into space took time to weave you in the quiet of the womb. That means you were loved before you were seen, known before you were named, wanted before the world ever whispered a word about you. You were never hidden from him, not even in the smallest beginnings. You were his idea. So when the lies shout, You don't matter, you whisper back, I was knitted by God. When depression says, you're just a burden, you answer, I was formed with care. When the past tells you, you should have never existed, you declare, my God created me on purpose. And He makes no mistakes. Oh Lord, thank you for seeing me before anyone else did, for choosing to design me with your hands, not just your words, for being the artist who shaped my soul before I ever took my first breath. And even now, when I feel broken or unworthy, remind me that I was once woven by you, still held by you, still seen, still loved. And maybe, just maybe, this broken season is not where my story ends, because the same hands that made me in secret are still holding me in the storm. Amen. Psalm 139 verse 14, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, I know that full well. You may look in the mirror and see flaws. You may wake up some mornings already tired of yourself, tired of the way you think, the way you feel, the weight you carry, the scars you hide. Maybe you've been told you're not enough, or maybe no one told you anything, and that silence convinced you you're not worth being seen. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that you're a mistake, that something's wrong with you, that you're too broken to matter. But that's not truth. That's trauma talking. Because here's what God says about you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, not accidentally assembled, not randomly put together. You were crafted with awe, with intention, with power. You weren't made to be thrown away. You weren't made to just survive. You weren't made to disappear. You were made to reflect the beauty of a God who makes no mistakes. Fearfully made means God took you seriously when He made you. He didn't just throw you together. He designed you with holy reverence. And wonderfully made means that you are not average. You're not common. You are a wonder, a walking miracle, a living testimony of divine creativity. I know, maybe your story has pain in it, maybe abuse, maybe rejection, maybe mental health battles or heartbreak or deep shame you can't even explain. But those wounds, they don't rewrite your worth. They don't erase God's fingerprints on your soul. What the world calls broken, God calls beautiful in progress. What others discarded, God redeems. You're not garbage. You're not invisible. You are still His creation. Even with all the questions in your mind, even with all the baggage you carry, you are a work of art. You're still breathing because He's not finished. So say it with me, not in arrogance but in healing. I praise you, God, because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Let that truth go deep into your bones. Let it challenge every lie that said you were too much or not enough. Let it rise up in you like hope. Let it become your anthem. Because when David wrote this, he wasn't just saying it for himself. He was saying it for every soul who would come after him and wonder if they were a mistake. You are not a mistake. You are His masterpiece. And even if you can't see it yet, His works are wonderful. And that includes you. You are living proof of His glory. You're not just part of His creation. You are cherished by the Creator. So hold your head up. You were made on purpose, for a purpose, with sacred precision, with heaven's breath. And your life, your very existence, is still a reason to praise Him. Let the healing begin. Psalm 139 verse 15, my frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. There was a time in your life when nobody saw you. No one knew your name. You hadn't been born yet. There was no applause, no celebration, no words spoken over you. You weren't on anyone's radar. Not yet. You were still forming, still hidden, still becoming. But even then, God saw you. This verse whispers something sacred. My frame was not hidden from you. That means, even in the shadows, even in the silence, even in the dark waters of the womb, you were seen. Not just seen but known. Not just known but loved. Not just loved but crafted. You weren't thrown together. You were woven, carefully, intimately, intentionally. In the secret place, it says. The place where no human eyes could watch. Where no one else could monitor or measure what was happening. That place of divine mystery. That's where you were made. And God was there. His eyes were not absent. His hands were not idle. His heart was not distant. What the world couldn't see, God was working in. There are some seasons of life that feel like that, like you're back in the dark again. Hidden, forgotten, unseen. You're praying but it feels quiet. You're waiting but it feels endless. No one checks on you. No one claps for you. You start to wonder, does anyone even know I'm still here? Does anyone still care? But God does. He always has. You were never hidden from Him. Not in the womb. Not in your pain. Not in your confusion. Not in your breakdowns. He saw you when your bones were forming, and He sees you now when your heart is breaking. He's not just the God of your beginning, He's the God of your becoming. And the same one who formed you in secret is still forming you now. There are parts of your life that feel buried, forgotten, unfinished. But just like He worked in the quiet depths of the earth, He is still working now in the depths of your soul. So if you feel unseen, remember this verse. If you feel like nothing is happening, remember this verse. If you feel like you're in a dark room, becoming something no one can quite understand, remember this verse. Because what feels like hiding may actually be holy. You weren't made by accident. You were made with affection. You weren't just born, you were woven. And the thread God used to make you still holds you together. Even now, even here, even in this. Let this truth hold you like a promise. You are not invisible. You are intricately made. And what was once hidden will one day shine. Psalm 139 verse 16, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. There are moments in life when everything feels uncertain. When the days ahead feel like a blank page and you don't even know where to begin. You look at your life and it feels unfinished, broken, lost in edits you didn't ask for. But this verse is a reminder that long before you ever took your first breath, before you ever cried your first tear, before trauma ever touched you, God saw you. Not the polished version, not the public version, but the unformed you, the raw, undone you, the real you. And still, He chose to write your story. He didn't wait for you to become perfect before He called you His. His eyes saw what others never would. The things hidden, the things buried, the things not yet birthed. And still, He said, yes, that one. I'll write their days with my own hand. You see, you weren't an accident. You weren't a draft. You weren't a backup plan. Every chapter of your life, every mountain and every valley, every detour and delay was already seen by the author of your soul. And not one moment of it is wasted. You might feel like you're stuck on a page you don't understand right now. You might be wondering why this season, why this suffering, why this silence. But hear this, nothing you're walking through is a surprise to Him. He didn't just write the light. He also knows how to carry you through the dark. He doesn't just flip through your life like a passive reader. He's writing with intention, with purpose, with love. Even when it feels like your story has paused, heaven is still turning the page. And this is where it gets holy, because it means your story is not being written by your pain. It's not being shaped by the people who left or the doors that closed. It's being written by the one who saw you before you were ever formed. So don't panic if you can't see the ending yet. Don't lose hope if the chapter you're in feels confusing or painful, because the author of your life doesn't make mistakes. If you're still here, there's more to come. Maybe today is hard. Maybe this season feels unfinished. But in God's book, every day is written with purpose. Nothing is random. Not your joy, not your sorrow, not your waiting. So hold on. The next line of your story might just be the breakthrough, the healing, the beauty after the ashes, the part where everything finally makes sense. And until then, know this deep in your soul. You are not forgotten. You are not unseen. You are not behind. You are still in His story, still chosen, still known, still deeply loved. All the days ordained for me were written in your book. Even this one, even the hard ones, even the days you didn't see coming. So breathe. You're not lost. You're not off script. You're right where God is holding the pen. And He's not done yet. If this touched you, don't leave in silence. Drop a comment below. He's still writing my story. And let someone else know they're not alone. Subscribe for more spoken healing like this. because even broken pages can become holy chapters. Psalm 139 verse 17, how precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. Pause here. Slow down. Let that settle in your chest. God thinks about you. Not vaguely. Not in passing. Not just when you show up at church or fold your hands in prayer or fall into sin and call out for mercy. No, his thoughts are always flowing. Constant. Tender. Personal. David isn't writing this as a poet trying to impress. He's writing this as a man undone. A man sitting in awe. A man who realizes something that wrecks him in the best possible way. God's thoughts are not just powerful, they're precious. And not just precious in general. Precious to me, David says, because this is where it gets personal. This is where your healing begins. When you stop seeing God as a distant ruler, a cosmic judge, or just a religious idea, and start seeing him as the one who actually thinks about you. With care, with purpose, with love deeper than anything this world has ever offered. These thoughts aren't careless. They aren't empty. They are saturated with eternity. They are soaked in grace. They are shaped by a God who sees your pain and still plans your redemption. He doesn't forget you when life gets loud. He doesn't stop thinking of you when you get quiet. When you disappear from people, when you sink into your bed with exhaustion. When you cry and don't even know what to say, he's still thinking about you. Carefully, faithfully, endlessly. David says, how vast is the sum of them? Have you ever tried to count the stars? To measure the ocean? To hold a storm in your hands? That's the kind of weight his thoughts carry. They're not a handful. They're an ocean. They're a galaxy. And every single one carries your name. That means there's never been a moment in your life that God wasn't aware of. Never been a thought you had that he didn't already understand. Never been a silent prayer that didn't echo in his heart. The enemy wants you to believe you're forgotten. But scripture screams otherwise. You are on his mind. Even now, even in this very moment, when you feel forgotten by people, overlooked by friends, ignored by the world, God says, no, my child, you are on my mind. Always have been, always will be. Let this truth heal something deep in you. You are not a number, not a burden, not a background character in someone else's story. You are seen, you are known, you are thought about. And not just once, not just in crisis, not just when you get it right. Always, forever, faithfully. So sit with that. Let it break through the lies. Let it calm the storm inside. Let it awaken something holy in your soul. Because this isn't just a verse. It's a love letter from a God who can't stop thinking about you. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. Psalm 139 verse 18. Just pause here. Let this breathe inside your soul for a moment. Try to hold the weight of that image. The grains of sand, have you ever really tried to count them? Grab a handful on the shore, let it slip between your fingers. Hundreds, thousands, tiny, immeasurable pieces all tangled together. That's just your palm. Now, imagine the beach. Imagine the dunes, the ocean floor, the endless stretch of desert heat. And still, that wouldn't come close to how often God thinks about you. Not just the world, not just humanity. With every breath, with every heartbeat, with every moment you forgot him, he didn't forget you. His thoughts toward you are not rare. They are relentless. And it's not just the number. It's the presence inside each one. God's thoughts toward you aren't hollow. They're full. Full of care. Full of hope. Full of mercy. Full of your name. They aren't just data points. They're intentional. Fatherly. Protective. Loving. They're not random thoughts. They're sacred ones. Thoughts formed in eternity, yet spoken into your everyday struggle. And then David says something so simple, but so powerful. When I awake, I am still with you. That wrecks me, because sometimes it feels like sleep is the only peace we get. We drift off hoping to escape. We lie there with burdens we can't speak out loud. Our minds exhausted from the weight of what we carry. We fall asleep hoping something feels lighter in the morning. But David says, you wake up and God is still there, still with you. He didn't leave when you shut down. He didn't grow tired of your silence. He didn't walk away during your doubts. He stayed. through the night, through the numbness, through the pain you couldn't name. And when your eyes opened again, so did mercy, so did love, so did his arms. That is faithfulness. That is the kind of love you can't earn, but it refuses to go away. The kind of presence that doesn't depend on your performance. You don't have to be impressive to be held by him. You don't have to be put together to be protected by him. You don't even have to be awake for him to be at work. He watches over you while the world shuts down. He guards your soul in the dark. And when the sun rises, he's already there, waiting, not with shame, not with disappointment, but with kindness in his eyes, with comfort in his hand, with whispers that say, "You are not alone. I never left." So breathe this in tonight. Breathe it in every morning you rise feeling unsure of yourself. You are not forgotten. You are not too messy to be loved. You are not too far to be found. God is thinking about you more than you can count. And when you awake, you are still with him, still chosen, still covered, still seen, still loved. Because his love, it doesn't sleep. And even if you feel like you've let go, he never did. Psalm 139 verse 19, "If only you, God, would slay the wicked. Away from me, you who are bloodthirsty." There comes a point when the pain in your chest isn't just about your own wounds, it's about the injustice around you, the violence, the corruption, the cruelty that seems to thrive while the innocent suffer in silence. And David's not holding back here. He's not reciting poetry anymore, he's crying out. With trembling lips and a weary soul, he's saying, "God, if you are truly this near, this holy, this powerful, then why does evil still breathe? Why do the wicked seem to flourish while the broken barely survive?" This isn't the voice of a man asking for personal revenge. This is the groaning of a heart that's tired of watching bloodshed, abuse, betrayal, and injustice take center stage. When David says, "Slay the wicked," it's not cruelty he desires, it's righteousness. It's that deep longing every child of God has felt at some point in life. When you watch the evil prosper, the violent win, the proud rise, and your soul whispers in agony, "Lord, where are you?" The word bloodthirsty here, it paints a picture. People who not only harm, but enjoy harming. People who devour lives, destroy peace, sabotage purity. David doesn't want to be near them. He doesn't want to be influenced by them. He wants distance, protection, cleansing. He's saying, "God, I don't just want you to know me. I want you to act. I want your justice to rise like the morning sun. I want evil to fall. I want holiness to win." Have you ever felt that way? When you watch news reports of children suffering, families shattered, cities bleeding, and your soul screams, not out of hatred, but from that aching place that knows the world is broken and only God can make it right. And you say, "God, please, step in, slay the wicked, restore what's been ruined, bring your justice, make it right." It's a prayer born in the tension between what is true about God and what is still happening on earth. It's where brokenness meets belief. It's where faith doesn't pretend everything is okay, but dares to hope that someday it will be. And here's what gives us strength. We serve a God who will respond. Maybe not in our timeline, maybe not in the way we expect, but Scripture is clear. He is not blind. He is not silent. He is not indifferent. Justice is coming. Righteousness will rise, and the wicked will not win forever. So let your cry be heard. Don't silence your soul. If you're hurting because of evil, if you've seen too much darkness and felt too little peace, know this, you're not alone. David cried it too, and so can you. Just remember, the one you're crying to, he sees, he knows, and he will make all things new. Psalm 139 verse 20. They speak of you with evil intent. Your adversaries misuse your name. This is not just about rebellion. It's not just about bad behavior or people doing wrong things. This is about the deep ache of watching God's name, the holy name, be dragged through the mud. David isn't casually observing sin from a distance. He's heartbroken. This is grief. This is holy sorrow. This is the cry of someone who loves God so deeply, so personally, that when others distort his character, it feels like betrayal, not just against heaven, but against the very heart of love itself. They speak of you with evil intent. That means they know of God. They may even talk about him, use his name, quote scriptures, preach sermons, but their hearts are poisoned with selfishness. Their motives are twisted. Their mouths say God, but their actions say me. They aren't speaking from love, they're speaking with intent, evil intent, to manipulate, to control, to elevate themselves while stepping over others, to pretend righteousness while carrying daggers behind their backs. And David sees it, and it breaks him. They misuse your name. Oh, how many times has that happened? People using God's name to justify hate, to start wars, to cover abuse, to silence the broken, to protect power instead of protect people. This is not just wrong, it's blasphemy. And if you've ever loved someone who was misrepresented, if you've ever watched someone you adore be slandered, twisted, or used, you know this pain, that holy ache, that desperate need to stand up and say, no, that's not who he is. That's what David is feeling here. He's not being self-righteous. He's being protective. Because when you know the mercy of God, when you've been rescued from the pit, when you felt his presence in your deepest valley, it hurts to hear his name turned into a weapon. It hurts to see holiness used for harm. And so David cries out, not to condemn people, but to cry for justice, to cry for truth, to cry for God's name to be restored to the beauty, honor, and love that it truly is. So if you've ever felt this way, if you've ever watched people misuse God's name for power, for fame, for profit, for cruelty, you're not alone. David felt it too. That righteous fire in your heart, that's not bitterness. That's the Spirit rising up. That's the ache of a heart aligned with heaven. And it doesn't have to turn to hate. It can turn to prayer. It can turn to truth. It can turn to healing. Because the answer to this holy pain isn't more anger. It's more light. The more God is misrepresented, the more we must represent him rightly. Through love, through justice, through compassion, through truth, through lives that reflect the real Jesus, not the one they twist, not the one they commercialize, but the one who knelt to wash feet, the one who wept over Jerusalem, the one who forgave his enemies while they were killing him. That's the name they misuse. And that's the name we're called to honor, not just in word, but in life, in the way we love the hurting, in the way we defend the truth, in the way we forgive and hold fast to justice, in the way we burn, not with rage, but with a holy desire to make him known as he truly is. So yes, this verse is raw. It starts broken, but it ends with a holy rise, a call to action, a call to live in such a way that when the world hears his name, they see his love, not manipulation, not misuse, but mercy. Let that be the cry of your heart too. Let your life restore the name they've misused. Let your heart carry the truth of who he really is. And let that truth shine brighter than every lie they speak. Amen. Psalm 139:21. Do I not hate those who hate you, Lord, and abhor those who are in rebellion against you? This is not an easy verse. It's one of those lines that stirs something deep in your soul. A tension, a heartbreak, a moment of reckoning. David's words aren't polite or polished here. They're raw, they're emotional, they're personal, and they come from a place of deep, holy loyalty. He's not speaking as a man full of rage. He's speaking as a man broken by the rebellion he sees all around him. A man who feels the weight of what it means to truly love God, and what it costs to take that love seriously in a world that doesn't. David is saying, Lord, I can't pretend anymore. I can't be neutral in a war between good and evil. I can't smile and shake hands with those who spit on your name and mock your truth. I can't align my heart with those who hate you and walk in darkness. This isn't personal hatred, it's holy grief. A grief that says, if they stand against you, I cannot stand with them. He's drawing a line, not out of pride, not out of superiority, but out of a desperate, loyal love for God. Because when you truly love someone, you feel it when they're dishonored. When you truly walk with God, you can't stomach rebellion like you used to. You don't laugh at what used to entertain you. You don't flirt with compromise just to fit in. There's something that shifts in your spirit. A quiet fire that says, I want to be on God's side even if it costs me everything. Even if it makes me the odd one out. Even if it breaks my heart to walk away from people I used to love, spaces I used to feel at home in. This verse is that moment in the journey where your loyalty is tested, not by how loudly you worship, but by how boldly you stand when it's uncomfortable. When you're surrounded by rebellion, mockery, or compromise, and your soul aches because you know it offends the one who gave you life. David isn't celebrating hate here. He's mourning what sin has done to the human heart. He's aching over the gap between God's holiness and the world's rebellion. And he's saying with tears in his voice, I choose you, Lord. I choose to hurt with you rather than laugh with those who hate you. I choose to walk alone if that's what it takes to stay on the path of light. I choose to grieve with you instead of grow numb to a world that's lost its fear of God. It's not just a statement of hate, it's a declaration of allegiance. A holy heartbreak that says, I refuse to join those who mock the very one who saved me. This is the moment where faith becomes more than a comfort. It becomes a conviction, to stand. A line in the sand that says, I'm with you, Lord. Even if the world turns against me, I won't turn from you. And maybe today that's the cry of your heart too. Maybe you felt the tension. Maybe you've been surrounded by people who call good evil and evil good. Maybe you've tried to stay quiet just to keep the peace, but something in your spirit is rising up, saying, no more. I can't be passive in this battle. I can't be silent while my Savior is slandered. I can't pretend rebellion is harmless when it's destroying souls. This is the holy ache, the spiritual fire. The moment where healing isn't soft, it's strong. Where hope doesn't come through comfort, but through courage. And where faith means standing alone, not because you want to be against others, but because you refuse to be against God. So let your soul whisper what David shouted, Lord, I'm with you, even if I have to walk this road alone. Even if the crowd hates me for it. Even if my heart breaks over what I have to let go. I'd rather be rejected with you than accepted without you. I'd rather stand in truth than sit in rebellion. I'd rather be loyal to the cross than loved by the crowd. And in that loyalty, my dear friend, you'll find peace. Not because the battle is easy, but because your heart is finally aligned with the one who never gave up on you. That kind of loyalty, that kind of love, it's holy, it's rare, and it's healing, even when it hurts, even when it costs you everything, because it brings you closer to Him. Psalm 139:22, I have nothing but hatred for them. I count them my enemies. This is David at his most raw, his most real. This isn't a polished prayer. This isn't soft-spoken worship. This is a broken man grieving the way people have mocked the God he loves, and he's not hiding it. He says what many of us are afraid to say out loud, I hate what dishonors you, God. I can't pretend this is okay. It's not that David is obsessed with vengeance. No, this is deeper than that. This is the pain of a heart fully aligned with God, aching over a world that's turned its back on him. David's not talking about personal revenge. He's drawing a line in the sand. He's saying, I will not celebrate what you grieve, Lord. I won't call it love when it's rebellion. I won't be silent when your name is dragged through the mud. I won't applaud what crucifies you again and again. This isn't a call to war, it's a cry of loyalty, a declaration of deep spiritual alignment. Because when you truly walk with God, your heart begins to ache with what breaks His. And there comes a point when silence feels like betrayal, compromise feels like disloyalty. And David says, I won't do it. I won't bow to the world's approval. I won't water down truth just to fit in. If standing with you means standing alone, then so be it. This is what it means to carry holy grief, to live with a heart that burns for righteousness, even while the world celebrates sin. It's painful, it's lonely, but it's also sacred. David is choosing sides, not out of hate, but out of love. Love for a holy God. Love that can't be quiet when evil parades in daylight. Love that can't pretend all paths lead to peace when they don't lead to Him. And maybe you felt this too. That ache in your soul when you see the world twist what's sacred. That fire that rises when God's name is used for gain, or when truth is traded for popularity. It hurts, and it should, because you weren't made to be numb. You weren't called to be passive. You were called to be holy, set apart, faithful. So David says, I count them my enemies, not because he's filled with bitterness, but because he refuses to be lukewarm. He refuses to walk both sides of the road. He refuses to blend in with darkness and still claim the light. This is a verse that confronts us, challenges us. It asks, who do you align with when the lines are drawn? When the world celebrates what God weeps over, will you stay silent or will you stand? Will you walk away from comfort to stay close to the cross? Because true love for God sometimes means holy resistance. Sometimes it means grieving what the world laughs at. Sometimes it means letting go of fitting in just to stay faithful. And sometimes it means saying with David, Lord, I choose you, even if it costs me everything. I won't pretend evil is good. I won't dress up sin in pretty words. I won't play both sides. I am yours. This is not hatred born from pride. It's a broken cry from a loyal heart. A heart that longs for God's name to be honored. A heart that's tired of the dishonor. A heart that's not afraid to say, I choose him, even if I lose the world for it. And maybe that's exactly the kind of courage God is looking for in you today. Psalm 139 verse 23, search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. There comes a moment when you stop pretending, when the mask falls, when the noise quiets, when the distractions don't work anymore, and you finally feel the ache you've been trying to outrun. This verse, it's for that moment. It's not a fancy prayer. It's not polished or proud. It's raw, vulnerable, honest. David isn't hiding behind religious words. He's saying, God, come see the real me. The trembling, anxious, overthinking, sleepless me. The heart I'm scared to even face myself. Come search it. The thoughts I don't tell anyone, the ones that spiral late at night, the ones that whisper lies, the ones that beg for control and beg for peace. Come know them, because I'm tired of carrying them alone. I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I'm tired of faking strength while I'm silently falling apart. This is a cry from the depths of the soul. God, search me, not so you can shame me, but so you can save me. Know my heart, not so you can judge me, but so you can heal what's broken inside. Test me not to punish, but to purify. David isn't afraid of what God might find. He's desperate for God to find it, to reveal it, to deal with it, because what's hidden can't be healed, and what's suppressed will eventually spill out. This is not a man asking for comfort alone. This is a man asking for confrontation, the gentle kind, the loving kind, the kind that sees the anxiety underneath the anger, the sadness behind the silence, the longing beneath the sin. Search me and know my anxious thoughts. You hear that? He didn't just say, know my thoughts. He said anxious thoughts, the specific ones, the ones that tighten your chest, that steal your sleep, that paralyze your decisions. David is bringing his anxiety to God, not after he's fixed it, but while he's still in it. This is not a cleaned up testimony. This is mid-struggle honesty. This is the kind of courage that stops trying to be impressive and starts being real. And that's where healing begins. Not when you act strong, but when you finally admit, God, I'm not, but I want you here anyway. This verse is the door. It's the surrender. It's the whisper that says, God, I don't want you to just bless the parts of me that are already tidy. I want you to sit with me in the mess. I want you to help me uncover what I've buried. Help me name the fear I can't quite explain. Help me find the source of the guilt, the reason for the restlessness, the hidden wound behind my weary soul. God, I give you permission to search me, not because you don't already know, but because I need to know what you see in me. I need to feel your eyes of grace in places where shame once ruled. I need to feel your hand pulling out the thorns I let grow too long. And that's the power of this prayer. Not just in its words, but in its yielding. It's a declaration of trust that says, God, I believe you won't walk away when you see the whole me. I believe your love goes deeper than my layers. And I believe you're not just a God who visits. You're a God who dwells, even in the anxious, even in the afraid, even in the unfinished parts of my story. So if you're reading this right now and you feel that ache in your chest, that lump in your throat, that fear of being known, remember this: God doesn't just see your heart. He wants to heal it. And he's not afraid of your anxiety. He's not shocked by your weakness. He's not distant from your questions. He's near, closer than the breath you're struggling to catch. And when you pray this prayer, when you really mean it, you're not inviting judgment. You're inviting restoration. So go ahead, take a breath, let it tremble if it needs to, and whisper the words that David once cried. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Because healing doesn't begin when you're strong. Healing begins when you're seen. Psalm 139 verse 24, see if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. This is the heart cry of a soul that's done pretending, done performing, done hiding. This is David, stripped down to his core, laying everything bare before God and saying, "Search me again. Go deeper. If there's anything wrong in me, anything crooked, anything I've justified for too long, don't just reveal it. God, please lead me out of it." This is not pride speaking. This is not a man who thinks he's holy. It's the voice of a broken heart, finally ready to surrender. Not perfection, surrender. Not hiding behind religion, but walking in raw, exposed relationship. It takes deep humility to pray like this. To say, "God, I may not even see the sin I carry, but you do. Show me what I've been blind to. Point out what's been hurting me, what's been poisoning me, what's been distancing me from you and from my own healing." Because some wounds don't look like wounds. Some sins don't feel sinful. They disguise themselves as self-protection, as independence, as just the way I am. But deep inside they're offensive, not just to God, but to who He created you to be. And David knows this. That's why he doesn't just say, "See it," he says, "Lead me." In other words, don't just show me what's wrong. Walk me into what's right. Don't just convict me. Heal me. Don't leave me stuck in shame. Carry me into transformation, into the way everlasting. And that's the most beautiful part. The way everlasting. Not temporary change, not surface behavior, but the eternal way. The way that restores. The way that rebuilds. The way that rewrites your story. It's a way that doesn't end in guilt. It ends in glory. It doesn't terminate in failure. It leads to freedom. This is a prayer you only pray when you're tired of cycling through the same pain, when you're done covering the same wounds, when you're ready to stop returning to the same places that broke you. It's not a soft prayer. It's a dangerous one, because when you ask God to search you, to expose the offensive ways, to pull you from them, and lead you into holiness, you're inviting Him to interrupt your patterns, to cut things off, to break habits, to heal trauma, to dig up what you've buried. It's messy. It's not always instant, but it's real, and it's worth it. This verse is the end of Psalm 139, but it's really just the beginning of the healing, the beginning of being led, the beginning of living fully known and still fully loved. It's the sound of a person who's been through fire and is finally ready to stop running and let God restore them from the inside out. So if you're here right now, reading this, and you feel that gentle ache in your chest, that quiet whisper in your spirit, then maybe this is your moment to pray what David prayed. To say, "God, if there's something in me that's not right, show me. Don't let me stay blind. Don't let me keep walking in the dark. Take my hand and lead me out of my own ways, out of what's been hurting me, into the way everlasting." Because He will. He's not the God who points and punishes. He's the God who corrects and then carries, who convicts and then comforts. If this spoke to your heart today, don't scroll without responding. Drop a "God sees me" in the comments right now. And if you're going through something personal, drop a comment. I'll do my best to pray for you. Subscribe for more encouragement. Share this with someone who feels unseen today, because God hasn't forgotten them either, who reveals and then restores. He won't just tell you where you're broken. He'll walk with you until you're whole. This is not condemnation. It's invitation, and it starts with surrender.